Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and I think I discovered the core link among all Marvel Cinematic Universe characters and what the most recent lineup of heroes have in common that has made them both so important to their fans, but also quite polarizing. And it all comes down to one word: destiny. Which heroes became super by accident or incident, and which ones were fated to become super by having superness coded into their DNA or cosmic fingerprint. Trust me, when you understand this distinction, you are going to understand what Marvel's true plan for the multiverse saga is or was, and why that plan has sometimes struggled to connect with fans the way Marvel's Infinity Saga did. So in this video, I'm going to explain why did Marvel Studios make so many of their recent heroes a product of destiny? Why is Marvel so obsessed with destiny? Well, the short answer is Kang, but there is more to the story. Okay, let's recategorize all MCU heroes or anti-heroes into one of three groups. Group 1 we'll call heroes of accident. Group 2 we'll call heroes of destiny, and Group 3 we'll call heroes of defiance. Let's take these groups one by one, starting with Group 1, heroes of accident. Historically, Marvel heroes were defined with origin stories marked by accident or incident. Ordinary people who stumbled into extraordinary circumstances and adapted by turning into heroes. Peter Parker, accident. He was bitten by a radioactive spider and became Spider-Man. Bruce Banner, accident. Hit with gamma radiation and became the Hulk. Doctor Strange, car accident. Responds by learning the mystic arts and becomes Doctor Strange. The Fantastic Four, scientists who get hit with radiation in space and each acquire unique powers. Matt Murdock, an accidental or incidental chemical spill, leading to him becoming the Devil of Hell's Kitchen Daredevil. James Howlett, born a regenerative mutant, but really what made him Wolverine as we know him was a lab accident by Weapon Plus, an alignment of regeneration and adamantium that really could only lead to this unique X-Man. Similarly, Wade Wilson, he was an ordinary guy, a mercenary but an ordinary one, who gets cancer and then tries to treat it by going through Weapons Plus, and then accident becomes Deadpool. Steve Rogers, he volunteers to take the super soldier serum, but the procedure was a freak one-time lab accident that worked for him and no one else. At least not quite the same way. Same could be said for the alternate universe Captain Peggy Carter. Jennifer Walters in the MCU, it was a car accident to absorb some of her cousin Bruce's blood. The MCU version of Vision, a freak accident combination of Ultron tech plus Jarvis OS plus the Mind Stone plus like Thor's panic tap from Mjolnir, giving us this accident. Luke Cage, Man-Thing, Jack Russell, Werewolf by Night. These were all accidents or curses. Blade's mother was bitten by a vampire when he was still in the womb, leading to him becoming the Daywalker with vampiric powers. Carol Danvers, of course, an accidental radiation exposure. Miles Morales, the Peter Parker of his universe, has died, so he gets bitten by a spider from the wrong universe, becoming Spider-Man himself. The fact that these origin stories are based on accidents or just kind of like random occurrences are really a huge part of these heroes' appeal. They begin as people like us. The readers of the comics, the watchers of these movies, we ourselves are ordinary people, and it's just kind of fun to imagine ourselves in these scenarios. Because while we don't live in worlds of superheroes, we have lived lives in which random accidental bullshit falls in our laps, and we kind of have to figure things out, and we just love to watch stories where ordinary people have to adapt to become the best of themselves. But let's look at Group 2, heroes of destiny. There is another type of legendary hero, not one that we relate with, but one that we look up to, that has been called the Chosen One myth, in which a figure is either born into greatness or like born into humble upbringing, but they later learn that they're actually part of some sacred bloodline and their power comes from within, or because the forces of fate just kind of summon them up to be heroes. This is the more classic heroes myth. Like Christ was the son of God and born to a sacred bloodline that the book of Matthew drags us through each generation of. In the Matrix, Neo is the prophesied chosen one. Luke Skywalker is part of a sacred Skywalker bloodline and a beneficiary of a prophecy to bring balance to the Force. Harry Potter is a prophesied chosen one. In Dune, Paul Atreides is a product of genetic manipulation propaganda to become known as the Muad'Dib chosen one. But at least Frank Herbert and Denis Villeneuve deconstruct the problematic implications of viewing heroes as destined chosen ones. Now, in Marvel's history, it's actually kind of rare for heroes to be categorized as destined chosen ones because there are just like too many of them across the universe. But starting with Marvel Studios' multiverse saga in the films and TV shows, suddenly that all began to change. Wanda Maximoff was defined as the destined Scarlet Witch, according to the Darkhold. Mark Spector was destined to become Moon Knight, the avatar of Khonshu, after the childhood trauma of losing his brother Randall and abuse from his mother Wendy. Kamala Khan was destined to become Ms. Marvel from her great-grandmother Aisha, coming from the Noor dimension and linking with her descendant through time. In Werewolf by Night, Elsa Bloodstone was destined, you could say, to acquire the Bloodstone through her lineage with her father. Most recently, we learned that the MCU version of Maya Lopez was destined to become Echo through her Choctaw ancestry with Chafa. Even Thanos, you could argue, had his path destined through a lineage through his father, Alars. The distinction really is the more we just know about a character's parents or grandparents, and the more their power-ups seem to come from them having like heart-to-heart sit-downs with their family families or tours through their memories to uncover suppressed trauma, the more likely they are to be heroes of destiny. And yes, as I went through these, you may have felt a bit of malaise, and I think that's okay, because the problem with establishing that a character was destined to become a hero is that unless the story critically examines the bullshit of that chosen one thinking, as Dune does, the super transformation that we see is like a process of therapeutically accepting one's birthright, and it suggests that what makes you a hero are not your choices as much, but really like the traumatic things that happen to you and to your bloodline. Now, there are two reasons Marvel Studios has been pushing this. One is that it gives their new heroes traceable ancestries and their powers ancestral origins, making these heroes specifically vulnerable to villains like Kang the Conqueror, who is a master of history and timelines, who wants to know everyone's Nexus moment so that he can go back and prune it. Like, the reason Marvel Studios has been so fixated on the recent heroes' family trees is because their planned big bad was someone who definitely keeps records of everyone's lineage so that he can erase their family tree branches out of existence. Now, of course, the recent challenges with Kang and Marvel's longtime emphasis on secrecy and figuring things out as they go has made this general game plan pretty vague and confusing to audiences. But I'm telling you, there is a reason every new Avenger was like a product of destiny. It's because Marvel Studios wants them to show up on Kang's grid of targets. Even Doctor Strange, according to the Ancient One back in 2012, was destined to be the best of us, right? This video is sponsored by Helix Sleep, and honestly, good. I'm that friend in my friend group who's never had sleep problems, is always well rested, and wants to do brunch all the time, and that's because I sleep like a rock on my Helix mattress. And now you be that friend too, because you can get 20% off on a Helix mattress plus 2 free pillows. Helix has a 100-night sleep trial, so you can get more than 3 months to make sure that you love your mattress, and Helix's sleep quiz makes getting the perfect mattress so easy. You just take the quiz, and Helix finds the perfect mattress for you. I wanted a medium firm mattress with lumbar support that sleeps cool, and I got matched with the Dusk Luxe Helix mattress. This year, Helix launched their newest and most high-end collection yet, the Helix Elite mattress. The Helix Elite collection includes 6 different mattress models that combine personal comfort with high-end luxury, which means 2024 could be the year you fall in love with your new Helix Elite. Helix delivers your mattress right to your door with free shipping in the US. The mattress comes rolled up in a box and is super easy to set up yourself. Helix mattresses have a 10-year warranty, and with Helix's financing options and flexible payment plans, a great night's sleep is never far away. I love my Helix mattress, and I think you would too. If you're looking for a new bed, check out Helix Sleep. You can click the link below or go to helixsleep.com/rockstars to get 20% off your Helix mattress plus 2 free pillows. And for the second reason, join me on my soapbox for my TED Talk. The other reason is one that we all know, right? Movie studios in the past decade have tried to respond to feedback that their stories don't reflect enough cultural experiences. And they think that the best way to do that, or maybe just that the only pitches they have so far greenlit, is this story that we keep seeing over and over. Stories in which they try to empower an oppressed group by reframing their cultural generational trauma as a superpower. Now, I must say, this is a very, very powerful statement from many underrepresented groups, and it's why these heroes mean so much to people who see themselves in these characters. And I want to be clear, I believe this is a good thing, but when big media companies aren't careful with these stories, they run the risk of indulging in what is called trauma porn, which is exploiting awful things that real people have historically endured and conflating that pain with a kind of saccharine superpower for cosplayers to mimic at D23. Like, does everyone who has ever said Wakanda Forever and did the salute really understands what Wakanda Forever is supposed to mean? Look, I appreciate the attempt to use pop culture to educate viewers about history, but I just do not know if we can trust Disney to tell these stories the proper way, especially when the bottom line is profit and not cultural understanding. Okay, stepping off the soapbox here. You may be asking, wait, we know about the ancestries of characters like Tony Stark and Thor and T'Challa and Shang-Chi, and especially those last two were pitched as culturally specific heroes, so why aren't we considering them heroes of destiny? Well, I believe those characters fall into group 3, heroes of defiance. These heroes, I believe, are the most beloved because they are hybrids of the previous 2 categories. They are heroes who were born into one destined life path, but they defied the forces that put them on that path and forged a new path of their own, using their powers in ways that they were not intended to. Tony Stark was born to be the successor of Howard Stark's America fuck yeah weapons empire, but then becomes a victim to that empire, so he reforges his identity into Iron Man to become a better version of his father. T'Challa, born into the family business of ruling Wakanda and being the Black Panther in his father's image, but learns T'Chaka's dark secret. He bravely shames his ancestors and then transforms into a more responsible version of his father. Thor was destined and born to rule Asgard, but through various trials, and then eventually in Thor Ragnarok, he learns what Asgard really is, and he lets go of having to rule it. Shang-Chi, born as the son of Wenwu. He inherits the 10 rings, but he rejects his father's ambitions and his father's obsessions. Peter Quill was born to be the son of a celestial, but he breaks the chain to prioritize a new family that he has discovered. The same could be said for Gamora and Nebula, born as children of Thanos, rejected Thanos. For Rocket, born to be an experiment of the High Evolutionary, rejected it. And for a number of other characters, Cersei, an Eternal, created to carry out Erishim's will, basically uses her power to abort Tiamat. And of course, our beloved Loki, born to be the god of mischief, embraces and then questions that destined life path, and then transforms himself into the god of stories. Even recent Spider-Man and Spider-Verse stories are trying to redefine Peter Parker and Miles Morales' origin stories as products of destiny, like their spiders didn't bite them by accident, but because of the web of life and destiny, right? But notice how Across the Spider-Verse showed Miles Morales rejecting that destined path and fighting against Miguel O'Hara. Now, to be clear, all Marvel heroes are to a certain extent defiant in nature, like Steve Rogers has defiant qualities, but he defies the forces that try to control him and subvert what he believes are good American values. He's not defying any kind of destiny that led him to become a super soldier, right? Like the MCU version of the character never gets that far. The bottom line is these heroes of defiance don't unlock their powers by hugging their parents and their predecessors. They unlock their greater power by realizing that they are not their parents and predecessors. And that is something we all get. We are all driven to an extent by a fear that we will become the worst of our parents, that we will never escape the worlds that we were born into. And while it's important to never forget where we come from and to do our best to forgive the way our past failed us, what really empowers us going forward should be the choices we make in the present and in the future. Okay, we got real there for a second, so I'm gonna drag you back into the nerdy stuff. What this means for the multiverse saga movies of Marvel Studios, if Marvel does this right. The heroes of destiny that I identified will be Kang's victims in Avengers 5. Like, we know what their vulnerabilities are, so does Kang. He's gonna cruelly punish these characters for trying to derive their powers from their ancestors. He's gonna cruelly prey upon their well-documented vulnerabilities. The heroes of accident, meanwhile, will probably lose their powers and face the options of getting their powers back or living normal lives, because that choice is what Kang can prey upon the most with them. And instead, I think we might see their variants step in and play bigger roles. But the heroes of defiance will ultimately save everyone, because they, more than the other groups, are not playing Kang's game, they are playing their own games. They understand what it means to know what their destiny is and to say, you. So according to this plan, while I think everybody's gonna be part of the next 2 Avengers movies in some way, I think the most responsible heroes when it comes to staying a step ahead of Kang are gonna be characters like this: Tony Stark, Loki, Cersei, Thor, T'Challa, Shang-Chi, Peter Quill, Gamora, Nebula, Rocket, and Miles Morales. But I wanna know your thoughts on the way Marvel Studios seems to be making some characters products of destiny and how you feel about it. Hit me up in the comments below. Subscribe to all 3 channels in the New Rockstars network. I'm Erik Voss. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.